9:30, or both, if you like singing carols. You can come to as many as you want to. There is no limit. But Rob, over to you.
Well, good morning. How do I follow that? That was so brilliant. Actually, I was very tempted to follow them and go and join their party and just leave you lots to talk amongst yourselves. But isn't Christmas a great time? There's so much to enjoy. There's trees, decorations, presents, food, and hopefully more food, and chocolate, and definitely more chocolate, and family, and crackers, and so much more. And yet, we can often find ourselves getting worried. Have we got the right food? Have we got enough food? Did we choose the right presents? Is it what they'll like? And it's often the family that drives us crackers at the end of the day. And then January comes, and we have to pay for it. And that's not going to be so easy for some people this year, is it? So there's the anticipation and the excitement and the enjoyment, but there are also pressures, aren't there? We're looking forward to having our whole family together for lunch on Christmas Day. That'll be 12 and a quarter, because one's only 2 years old. Oh, and there's 2 dogs. That's a Bango the turkey leftovers, which I was looking forward to. And I can tell you that already the head chef is getting anxious. And if the head chef gets anxious, then that means the sous chef, washer up, peeler of vegetables, also gets anxious. But it'll be all right on the day, I know. But is that all there is to Christmas? The anticipation, the excitement, and the worry, and then it's all over. There must be more, surely. There must be more to this season and why we celebrate in the way that we do. And this year we're looking at the characters of Christmas, and the children have already covered the 2 main characters that we're beginning with. Andy looked at the shepherds last week, and he reminded us that in Israel at that time, socially, the shepherds were the lowest of the low. They weren't even trustworthy enough to give evidence in court, he reminded us. This week, we're looking at the wise men. And one thing Andy said, how amazing that God chose the shepherds of all people to give the good news to first. But then the wise men weren't even Jewish. They were Gentiles, foreigners, and not even from a neighbouring country. They came from hundreds of miles away. And why did God choose them? It doesn't seem to make sense, does it? And they were the opposite of the shepherds. Their social status was high. They were wealthy. They were well educated. They may have been kings as well as wise men. We're not clear, but why did God choose them? One of the verses Andy read from Luke's Gospel was this. The angel said, I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. That means rich, poor, great, humble, and all of us as well. Great joy to all people. Because God wants everyone to know what he's done. Such was the importance of what God did in sending his Son to earth. He wants everyone to know. But why did these men travel from their own community hundreds of miles, not by car up the motorway? Imagine travelling from here to Glasgow, and assuming there's no roadworks on the M6, you can have a quick thrash through at 70 miles an hour. They would have come by camel at best. And it would have been a long and arduous and dangerous journey. It would have taken days and days. Possibly, it's thought, maybe a month of travelling. Why did they bother? Well, I think it was one simple reason. God spoke to them, and they heard. And when God spoke to them and they heard what he said, they felt it was right to respond. And I think there's a message in that for us. They felt the need to bring their worship. And that was important. And I just wonder, is it possible that God's brought you here this morning, not just to enjoy the brilliant nativity that we've had, but brought you here so that you can worship him for what he has done for all of us? And maybe to rekindle or even to begin a relationship with him. Now, I know it's very easy to feel, and I've heard of people who say, well, I'm just not good enough to go to church. I'm not good enough to worship God. It's all right going to the nativity, but I'm not good enough for anything else. Well, actually, friends, none of us are. That's the very reason we're here, because we recognise we're not good enough, but we also recognise what God has done and has given us good news for all people in the form of Jesus Christ. And that's why we choose to come to worship him. There really is no better reason for us to join in worship. And I was going to ask the band to come back up, but I see that Amy's just gone out of the door. But in a few minutes, the band will come back up and we'll join together in a time of worship. We've turned the service on its head a little bit, and we've had the performance first, and now we're going to have a time of worship together. And I'd like to invite all of you to join in, but don't feel under any pressure. If you just prefer to sit still and quiet and listen, that's fine. There's no pressure for you to take part. So, Amy, if you're okay, can we get you back up? Thanks very much. And as they just get ready to lead us in worship, I want to read some words which are very archaic, and I did question whether it was right to read them because they're so old. They were written by Charles Wesley in 1700 and something. But if you look past the language, which is obviously the language of his day, not ours, then I think it sums up the wonder of this season. Charles Wesley wrote these words in a hymn: "Let earth and heaven combine, angels and men agree, to praise in songs divine the incarnate deity. Our God, contracted to a span, incomprehensibly made man." And that is the wonder of Christmas. That's the reason that we worship God now. Thanks, Amy.
Should we stand and worship?